If you watched our gardening segment in the spring, then you are very familiar with landscaper Doug Pratt, and Doug is back. He is back because seasons are changing, so he's going to tell us how to get our garden prepared. And today we are inside the hospital gardens at ARMC. It's right outside of the cafeteria, and Doug was telling me earlier how there are a lot of gardens like this around the city that people don't know about. So what are the benefits of these types of gardens?
Well, there's several benefits. One of this is if you happen to be here, and this one of the reasons this garden was created originally, was if you were here and you had a patient or you were having a treatment or something, you had a space between appointments, you could come outside, clear your mind, enjoy the garden, some fresh air, just kind of give yourself a pause before you maybe went on to something else or thinking about your loved one. So there are other gardens in the city like this. There's some downtown, some different buildings have some of these, and you can just kind of get outside, enjoy the great outside, and enjoy the garden as well.
And you had said this garden is purely by donation.
Yeah, Ann Diamond here is the director, and she is one of the ones that's in charge of this particular garden. And so donations can be given to her in memory of people, or just that they think is a beautiful garden they want to contribute. So you can contact Ann at the hospital here. But it's a way for us to continue to expand this garden. It started out much smaller, and through years of donations, we've continuously let this grow.
And now, aside from gardens like this, but if you're a homeowner and you have a garden and the seasons are changing, so what should we start to do?
Okay, as you see, we've had a couple of frosts,
right,
and it's got below freezing. The ground's warm enough that it hasn't really caused much damage, but we hate to say it, but it's on the way. Snow will be coming.
You wouldn't know with a day like today, though.
No, it's gorgeous today. But with the snow coming and the frost coming and stuff like that, stuff is going to start getting burnt back. And so what you would do is start trimming, fertilizing, putting grub X down. Again, the adult grub, we talked about this spring, has started laying eggs in August, September. And so those eggs are going to be hatching, so a good time to get your grub X out again. Good time to do fall fertilizing so that your plants have a nice hardy start in the spring. So just a long list of stuff you can do.
And what would you say is the very first thing you should do?
I would probably, the very first thing is start cutting back the perennials that have died back, just so that you don't have an area for things to, rodents and stuff to hide in the winter, and a way just no disease can get caught up in there as well.
And do you have to cut all perennials back?
Some people do and some people don't. It's basically a preference. Myself as a gardener, I think that you should cut them back, and each one cut back's a little bit different depending on the variety, but typically they're about 6 to 8 inches from the ground. Then you pull all that debris away, and then again, you can't have rodents. You can't have like chipmunks and mice and stuff like that that nest in that area in the winter, and they might chew up some of that plant.
And do you think they bloom better if you cut them back, or is it just to save them from rodents?
I really do think it helps the bloom to cut them back, because then the plant isn't trying to sustain itself. It just knows that it's done. You've cut it back, the frost is hit, there's no disease or anything like we had talked about. The plant can put some of its nutrition into the rooting system that makes it harder for the winter. It's a great start for the spring.
And is there any way to completely prevent the frost from destroying a plant?
No. It's well, you know, you'll see that you'll have Adam at the station will be saying, if you got tender plants out there, you better get out and cover them. And so you can take, and a lot of people will take like old sheets and stuff like that and cover them for a while, because you may have a frost and then not have one for a month even. So then you could protect them. Absolutely. We've talked to the hospital about starting our fall cleanup here, and because it's been so beautiful and we've had days like you've mentioned, it only makes sense to let this stay as nice as long as possible. So we're going to not start our trimming back until we actually do have a killing frost, which hopefully will be a month away.
And when there is a killing frost, after it happens, you just have to let it die?
Yep, it's just at the point you're basically going to let it die. I try to, and the garden is done here, and a lot of people do, is I always suggest putting about 50% of evergreens into your gardens. So therefore that you have something green year round. But the perennials themselves bloom for about a month or so. Each variety is a little different at a different time of year, as we talked about. But at the point that the frost hits them, that's basically the end.
Well, thanks so much, Doug. And if you would like to continue learning about what to do with your garden as winter approaches, Doug will be back for the next few weeks, so continue to tune in.